For my topic for the refutation speech is Bratz dolls. The claim I'm refuting is Bratz dolls have a negative effect on young girls. In her claim of fact speech, my opponent has 3 secondary claims to support her major claim. They are Bratz portray women as sex objects. Number 2 is Bratz dolls manufacturers are influencing girls to dress in inappropriate clothes. And 3, Bratz dolls have a negative effect on a girl's natural development. I am going to argue the first claim that Bratz dolls portray women as sex objects. In my opponent's argument, she mentions that having something to idolize is crucial and vital in a girl's adolescence. She mentions how instead of looking up to their parents, many girls turn to these dolls and idolize or covet or cling to those. Though this is a reasonable argument, I would like to argue that Bratz dolls is fully aware of this responsibility. For instance, on Bratz.com, the brand's interactive site for girls to play games and pursue their passion for fashion, they develop personality and features of each of the characters. One of the dolls' names is Yasmin, and she has this little blog, so it's pretty interactive. And in her blog from October 17th, she writes, "We gathered up all the shoes and clothes we hadn't worn over last fall and winter. Then Sasha called a kids shelter and they came and picked them up so the kids could have clothes for school. It was a pretty neat feeling. It was a pretty neat feeling to know that stuff we didn't need was going to other kids in our own age. And it was close to home, which was even better." So that was Yasmin's scoop. And then also at the bottom, there's like a little PS note to the reader, which is targeted for the girls. It says, "There are probably some women and children's shelters in your community that could use donations. Go online and search them and talk to your mom and dad about taking some of your used items like clothes, shoes, and books you don't read anymore to these shelters." So as you can see, that's a pretty positive message, and it's a good role model that the Bratz brand is endorsing. And I would say that hardly falls in the negative influence range. For her second claim, she states, Bratz dolls manufacturers are influencing girls to dress in inappropriate clothes. So I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen them. A lot of times the midriff showing, the proportions, tiny waist, larger bust, makeup, long hair. So that's the image of these Bratz dolls. My opponent defined young girls as the age group from 4 to 8, and she's suggesting that the manufacturers are influencing girls to dress in inappropriate clothes. With her definition of the age group 4 to 8-year-olds, 4 to 8-year-old girls do not do the shopping themselves. It's their parents, mainly their mothers, who actually buy the brand. So since they're not physically buying the merchandise, then they cannot be it cannot be said that the Bratz is influencing their taste. They can ask for the brand, they can put it on their Christmas list, beg and plead, but ultimately it's the parents, it's the mothers who buy the brand. My next point is that the clothing that actually carries the brand Bratz is not suggestive, it's not revealing, and it's not coochie in any manner. The Bratz clothing line consists of shirts, tank tops, jeans, headbands, lip gloss, and anything and everything that appeals to young girls, much like any of their other competitors, like Barbie, anything from the Candy's clothing line. However, there's no low-cut, mid-drift revealing, or tight leather clothes in their little girls' collection like the dolls wear. So that correlation's not there. It's not like they're selling skimpy outfits. The clothing is age appropriate. And also in this claim, she mentions how she gives an example of padded bras that Bratz has for young girls. Her argument is that the girls age of 4 do not start developing. This is completely true. In the source that she's listed, I looked it up, and it also talks about how Bratz is not the only brand that carries padded bras for these young girls. The source says, tiny matching lingerie sets of lacy bras and knickers in many children's brands, including Bratz, Saddle Club, and Barbie have hit the shelves at Target. And also, I work at Kohl's and I see a similar thing. So the issue is not that Bratz is promoting that has this issue, it's that a padded bra for a 6-year-old exists. So that's a completely different issue. Like, Bratz is not unique in that selling that and promoting that. Her third secondary claim is Bratz dolls have a negative effect on girls' natural development. For this claim, she mentions that their slogan is passion for fashion and continues to say that Bratz dolls are negative because if a girl's up idolizing this standard of beauty, then she will eventually fall short when she is at the peak of her development. To argue this point, I would like to say that these Bratz dolls do not invent the fashion, they merely reflect what our society deems as beautiful, and currently it's those looks that I listed before. And personally, I think that's something every kid goes through. They have this image of what they want to look like and what brands will make them cool, and then somehow we all fall short. It's part of growing up, or I wanted this toy for Christmas and I didn't get it. So, you know what I'm saying? So, for my claim, I would like to say that Bratz dolls do not have a negative effect on young girls.
All right, you ID'd the topic and the claim very clearly. You did a good job signposting all the secondary claims. You start right in with a good refutation on that first point. You've got this counterclaim, which is supported by the illustration of this interactive blog that the kids can go to in terms of what kinds of role models are they. There's not a lot of attempt to address the advocate's claim on this point, but just to rebut it by this competitive example, and I thought that worked pretty well. On the second point, again, there's a very clear signposting. You have an explanation of what the fashion is, and then you make the argument that it's the responsibility of the parents. This is a counterclaim on causality. Where is the real causality on this issue? And I think that's a legitimate question to bring up. It would probably be stronger if you could show, for instance, that the parents are failing to act in a responsible way, or that the parents have given control over to their kids, something like that. Maybe that would make it a little bit stronger. On the argument about you've got a more direct refutation on the clothing lines themselves, saying that there's no low-cut outfits, midriff bearing, that sort of thing. But I don't get a source for that particular information, and so that's a little problematic. I do think that there's probably some factual data that's being presented here, but you don't give us a source on that. And then you've got one more counterclaim on that particular point, which is that there are other brands that are doing the same thing. So in essence, identifying Bratz as being the one that's contributing to this problem ignores the existence of other brands that engage in similar kinds of behavior. And I thought that that's a reasonable challenge on that point too. I do think you want to analyze a little bit more some of the evidence that's presented by the advocate, but you've got good counterclaims and explanations of the reasoning process. You want to lose the pen while you're giving the speech too. You don't need a baton. All right. Thank you.